Welcome to one of my trip reports. Today, I'll be flying on board Jetstar Asia from Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport to Singapore Changi International Airport. This will be my first and last time flying with Jetstar Asia, as some of you may have heard that Jetstar Asia will be retiring by 31st of July. So come on down and I'll show you what the flight is like.
Okay guys, right now I just bought my inbound aircraft from Singapore today. So it's a 12.8 years old Jetstar Asia Airbus A320-232, registered as 9 Victor Juliet Sierra Oscar. This aircraft will be taking you from Suvarnabhumi Airport to Singapore, and it's powered by two IAE V2527-A5 engines. Here it is. Calling at gate 3, Golf 3.
Friendly crew. As soon as I walked on board, I got a sneak peek into the cockpit. For this flight, I'm seated in 15 Alpha, which is the window side of the seat. In today's aircraft, it's all in a full configuration layout and it's all economy class because it's an Airbus A320.
Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon you are traveling on an Airbus A320. And it is important that you are familiar with the safety features of this aircraft. Even if you have flown with Jetstar frequently, we will appreciate your attention for just a few moments. Having your seatbelt done up low and tight is essential for takeoff, turbulence and landing. To do it up, put the clasp in the buckle and tighten as shown. Undo it by lifting the buckle flap. You should keep your seatbelt done up whenever you are seated, just in case we come across any unexpected turbulence. In your seat pocket, you will find a safety briefing card that shows the brace position and other important information on what we should do in the unlikely event of an emergency. Please take a moment to read it before we Ladies and gentlemen, as we are making our final preparation for takeoff, once again, please ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened, that
Flight time today was 2 hours and 28 minutes, covering a distance of 994 miles or 1,600 kilometers, cruising at 37,000 feet.
on behalf of Captain Roberto Romanes, Together with First Officer Stanley Ng and the rest of my wonderful team, we'd like to thank you for choosing Jetstar. Enjoy your stay here in our garden city, and to the residents, welcome home.
Okay guys, so as you know that the flight from Bangkok to Singapore, it's actually more of a transfer flight. So my actual final destination was actually Melbourne Tullamarine International Airport, and I was unable to film this one because number one, I wasn't sitting in the correct seat, and probably number two, my sister was sitting in the window seat, so I really can't capture anything because of that. Yeah, and that's all I have to say. So I'll explain to you about what it is like flying from Singapore to Melbourne, but the airline is actually still the same, but this time it's Australia's low-cost carrier airline, and this time it's operated by a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll tell you what was the aircraft type, I'll tell you where I was seated in, and also I'll give you the flight path, and that's about it. Okay, thanks. Okay guys, so the aircraft that I flew on from Singapore to Melbourne was an 11-year-old Jetstar Airways Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, which is registered as Victor Hotel, Victor Kilo Hotel. This is powered by two General Electric GEnx-1 Bravo engines. Stepping on board the aircraft, I was greeted by the friendly crew. So looking inside, there are 21 business class seats in a 232 layout and 314 economy class seat in a 333 layout. For this flight, I am seated in 27 Bravo, which is the middle seat in between 27 Alpha, which is the window side, and 27 Charlie, which is the aisle seat. Okay guys, so not long after pushback, and as soon as we started taxiing to the runway, the plane came to a complete stop because another plane in front of us is actually blocking our way. So the captain notified us saying that another plane might have a technical problem, so they had to solve the issue first, and then once they're done, then they can move out of the way, and then we can continue taxiing to our runway. The runway we used was actually the same runway where I landed on from my flight from Bangkok to Singapore. So it's still 20 center, and everything was completely dark because it's night, and the windows were also a bit blurry as well. But it was really great being in Singapore, probably because I haven't been in Singapore for a while and don't know what it's like there. So ever since I went to Singapore, I always like looking at the different shows in Marina Bay Sands, like the Wicked Show, Phantom of the Opera, and the Cats. Also looking at the Merlion as well. And that's about it, I'm afraid. Okay. The flight time for this flight was 7 hours and 20 minutes, covering a distance of 3,994 miles, or 6,427.72 kilometers, with an initial cruising altitude of 39,000 feet, and then it climbed up to 41,000 feet as it reaches the Australian airspace. Okay guys, so not long after takeoff, the crew began their in-flight meal service, so I pre-ordered a chicken wrap and also I got myself a hot tea. The chicken wrap on board was very nice, very tasty and delicious, and so is the hot tea as well. And as soon as I was about to land into Melbourne, I just noticed that it was raining in Melbourne and it was also dark as well. And as soon as the plane touched down, the windows were still blurry. And when the plane soon parked at the gate, and then as soon as I stepped off the aircraft, I just noticed that it was cold outside, because some of you may have noticed that in Australia it's now winter season, so the weather gets really cold, especially during the night as well. And that's it. So I really hope you do like this video. So I'm sorry that I couldn't make the Singapore to Melbourne report, but I did give you an explanation about what it is. Okay, so I hope you do like this video, so please give it a like and do comment it, and please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Alright, see you later guys.